live on CHA's YouTube channel. This is a hotel room. I cannot control outside noises. And, it's been pretty quiet all the way up to just a few minutes ago to get up here and go live. Not a coincidence. Okay, anyway, moving on. Let's let those notifications go out and we're going to talk about it. Because God tells us not to fret about the noise and pestilence. Okay, so that brings us to Psalm chapter 91. Because, there's a lot out there. Okay, the narcissists are very noisy. And so I'm going to give it a few more seconds. And we're going to double check the sound and all of that. But for those who are new, okay, I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA Truth Seeker Podcast, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center while combating radio frequencies for healthier living. So let's go ahead and see what we can do as far as our engineering work here. Like I said, while everybody gets those notifications, let those go out, and we're going to cover. Oh yeah, I got y'all comments too, by the way. I'm going to get to y'all. All right, thanks for your patience. I'm going to get to y'all. I have not forgotten. All right, there we go. Make sure everything is. And we're going to cover. Okay, there we go. All right, got the chat up and running over here so I can catch y'all questions, additional insight, anything you want to add, okay, about narcissists and the matrix being so noisy. They are, and this is not a complaint, y'all. It's just something that we come to realize is a truth. Because I remember coming across a saying where it says that insecurity is loud. It is. Insecurity is very loud. Healthy confidence is quiet. And so that's where this comes from. Because I remember reading in Psalm 91 all about, well, it's not just Psalm 91, but the noise and pestilence that walketh in darkness. So I'm going to cover the, the pestilences, that's noisy. That's distraction and all kinds of things. And so I got a physical reason for y'all as to why it's so noisy inside the matrix. I mean, when you think about, okay, let's say you're walking down the highway, okay, and you see you've got the buses, you've got cars, you've got motorcycles, you've got cars that got things rigged up, right? That they got the the mufflers or whatever it is they do to them, and it's right. Okay, y'all hear the noise and pestilence outside from time to time, just in some of these live streams and even some videos that we do. It is what it is. You've got helicopters, you've got the airplanes, you've got other things, you've got the birds, and they chirp. And different noises, a lot of it is to try and manipulate your autonomic nervous system, the ANS. That's your physical reason behind it. That is the physical reason behind all that noise. And then you've got the demon of insecurity, and all narcissists have it. Every single narcissist is so insecure about themselves, they have no idea that it is a demon spirit that they're dealing with. But that demon of insecurity, they are so insecure about themselves, so they're going to be loud. Insecurities are loud. Healthy confidence is quiet. This is why Chosen One, as we grow and evolve and mature and become the best version that God intended for us to be, we move in silence, quiet, low key, very low key. And we don't allow that to distract us. So I got an example for y'all. I made an early run because it was time to revamp our fruit tray. We're thinking muscle food in this season now. Let me tell you, muscle food, right? That spinach, kale, berry, fruits, veggie, oats, granola, eggs, other things. I mean, all kinds of food for muscle. And so it was time to replenish a few things for our fruit tray. I said, okay. And I had to make an early morning run. And it was like not even it was approaching like 9 a.m. And so I'm in the store, and I noticed that there was some banging going on, and I said, my goodness. I said, boy, that's a lot of noise. That's a lot of noise first thing in the morning. And then I begin to wonder, well, how often does that go on during the day as it picks up and more customers start shopping and things like that? I start wondering these things like, did we just not notice that it's that noisy throughout the day inside this store each time we've been there? I mean, I'm just like, okay, hold on a second, but it's really noisy. Banging and other things, and then of course all the bleeps, you know, when it gets busier, but we're used to that. But then other things, and I thought, well, because it wasn't extremely busy around 9 a.m. and I said, wow, I'm noticing these things. And I said, okay, because I don't remember hearing all of that on previous visits. That's what got me thinking about how noisy it is in the Matrix. And I said, wow, it really is very, very noisy out there. And then you think about the ambulances, you think about all the different frequencies that cause all that noise. Okay, all those different frequencies that cause that noise. And those are the pestilences. So yes, absolutely, okay, yes. Noisy to cause shock and alarm and the attention that they get out of it. Absolutely, because I was getting to it early on that a lot of the noise is part of the frequency to manipulate the autonomic nervous system, your ANS, your inner child. I mean, when you think about it, if you've got excess salt, remember, I've talked about this, y'all. One of the first things that God revealed to me when I went on the blood type diet, okay, and naturally the blood type diet was lower, or is lower, in sodium, okay, so my body was detoxing, getting rid of at that time. And one of the things I noticed about myself was I was becoming less jumpy at certain noises. Like certain noises weren't catching me off guard anymore. And so I remember, okay, so excess salt, and that's what was revealed to me, that excess salt being held inside the body can cause your nerve to be jumpy. Your ANS, your autonomic nervous system, does not like excess salt. If you're active and sweating, you're going to want to consume some, but don't eat it like candy. Like we talked about before, we don't eat it like candy. And we don't add salt to things that already have salt in it. And if it's unsalted, we want to leave it that way. So we got to remember that everything that had to do with frequency, including the noise, is all part of the game of narcissism and want to try to catch your autonomic nervous system off guard. Because when it can do that, it's a momentary interruption to your body's circulation. Let that sink in, okay? Anytime you jump, it signals a fear response from your ANS. That's your autonomic nervous system responding, because that caught you off guard. Even though you may not be living in fear, but your ANS can be. Yeah. You may be like, you're not afraid of anything, but that sound, unexpected sound, it caught your autonomic nervous system off guard. And if you've got too much salt in the body, you're going to jump. You're going to be jumpy. And I said, wow. Because I went through another season of that, being a little bit jumpy, even though I am not living in fear, but my ANS got re-traumatized with that physical assault from the Jezebel case study. I'm fully aware of it. And so now we're even more aware, okay, of things that, yeah, we weren't supposed to become aware of. And so anytime my ANS responds to something I'm doing with my hand, I know why now. And the bruises and the knuckles, they gotta heal. Little bruises that are healing from here now too. Oh yeah, we know where we're all at. We know where all the bruises are, Missy. Nice try. Okay, now. Okay, so exactly, it's like that TikTok video talks about how where money doesn't like noise either. Ah, yeah. Money doesn't like noise. Money likes it quiet. Like healthy confidence, it's quiet. So, okay, so if jumping at loud noises, okay, and I know about your environment, and I can see where that can present as a little bit more of a challenge. Hello, Javon. Hello, Chris. Hello, everyone. Okay, well, okay, so yeah, it's demonic. It really is. That loud noises getting you to jump. That is, yeah, that is definitely part of the traumatization. So yes, it is demonic. It's very demonic. And I thank y'all for hitting the thumbs up. We've got a couple of people monitoring spirit that continue, and we know that. Well, we know why. That's why we let y'all know we good, because we know where all the bruises are, and I mean all the bruises. Well, excuse me, where a lot of them were. Ding 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 ding. Right, where a lot of them were, and then where some that are we just finally discovered recently, and so we know where to self-care and what to do. And so we know, yeah, we know where they're all at. And we also know that any kind of discomfort just means that there's an air pocket that needs to work its way out of there. That's all. And yes, I've got some props. I'm going to show y'all what I mean by air pocket, metamolecule inside an air pocket, and then a mucus pocket with more salt, and how, because the salt, okay, let me break it down for you real quick for those who need this food for thought. If you've got a bruise inside your body and you've got salt water trapped between the skin and the muscle, okay, right, if you got salt, sweat, if you will, trapped there, okay, because of radio frequency poisoning and other bruising that slowed down your circulation, so the sweat got trapped there for a little bit, okay, what happens is, as your body's circulation picks back up, okay, any salt water that has yet to make its way out for elimination, detoxing, okay, going to gravitate towards the spots where there's still bruising. Because inside the bruise, salt is magnetic, especially when it's hot. It's very sticky. And so that salt water, so if you are experiencing anything in the detox like that, it just seems like a cycle. It's like, why does this one area of my body keep filling back up with fluid after I've sweated and I'm detoxing? That's why. That's why. If you have any kind of, it may not be a bruise. It could be just a minor, I don't want to say injury, but something. Okay, something. It may not be a bruise, but it could be something that there's enough salt hanging out in that joint area. There's enough salt hanging out there, okay, that is acting as a magnet that pulls extra salt water. Because if you've ever done that before, right, sitting in a place. Now, in my case, I know it's a little bit of bruising residue there. So when my knee, right, because the perm smell of the clouds, by the way, I talk about that on the Patreon channel, but real quick, that perm smell you get out there with the chemicals in the air, okay, that perm smell has that ammonia in it. That is used to target your joints, okay? Yeah, your joints, and then the radio frequency, boom, right? And so all of a sudden you realize, it's like, wow, that got kind of stiff, or excess salt acts as a stiffener. So what happened is, if you were sitting in one spot for a period of time, and salt water gravitated toward wherever, in my case, the bruise is, I just got to walk it out. That's it, just got to walk it out and get the circulation rolling again. It's just that it gravitated towards that, and if you are in an environment where you're getting zapped with radio frequency, it just continues to heat it, and then that makes that air pocket expand, and the mucus pocket with more salt in it expand, and so you've got an air pocket. Yeah, And so it pushes it up again. That's what causes the pain. You got to work it out. Let the air pocket come on out. Eventually it will. It has to. It's just like bruises. Air pockets they can't stay where they're at forever. And muscle cramps are the result of air pockets, y'all. Yes. All right. So back to it now. Okay, the noise and pestilence out here. Let me see what y'all got. Okay. And when you say gobby, yes. Narcissists tend to be very gobby. Absolutely. And so they are aggressive. Okay, they can be. Well, you'll see them be passive aggressive as well. It's that part of that push-pull that they like to play on your emotions. They're very passive aggressive. And so, yeah, underneath it all, if you try to approach them with, yeah, that's my book, y'all, Real Events of Narcissistic Abuse, Someone's Survival Guide. You can get your copy on the website, Amazon, multiple different ebook platform, you name it. You could search it. Put it in the search query. Real Events of Narcissistic Abuse, Someone's Survival Guide. And there you go. Okay, now, it's out there. But I also, the audiobook, however, is only available on the website. The website's linked in the description below for quicker access. And you'll go to BTBW Magazine, my books / publication in the navigation drop-down menu, and it'll take you to all of our books. Okay. Yes, Javon, you should. Hey, if you are okay with easy peasy PDF download right off the website, you can get your PDF copy of this. It's real simple. Once you check out with that and the PDF copy, same thing with the audiobook. Okay, same thing with the audiobook. When you check out, you'll get an email with the download link. Boom, boom, that quick, just like any ebook. Okay, so there you go. All right, and so are all of the narcissists aggressive underneath? And the answer is yeah, in some way, because they're holding on to a bunch of pent up anger, that demon of anger. And so they're holding on to their trauma as well. They're holding on to all of the negative emotions. So yeah, at some point they're going to reach that boiling point. So if you try to confront them about their bad behavior, a lot of times what do? They buck up. And they get defensive real quick. So they want to deny it, deflect, blame shift, all of that. And so, yeah, that's a form of aggressiveness right there. Then, of course, you have the more overt, burly types who don't hide the fact that they're very aggressive. And then you also have to think about that loudness, the noisy side of things. Noisy is very aggressive. Think about that. Food for thought right there. When you think about noisy and think about how noise can escalate, right? Think about how noise can escalate in an environment. Like if you are sitting in the audience, okay, of an orchestra playing. See, there's noise and pestilence from outside. But you're sitting in the audience to listen to an orchestra, and you think about the music, because it's like in classical music, this is what I learned in band and some of y'all too, okay, about the decrescendo and crescendo. And so what happens is it starts out nice little melody, right? Beautiful music, and it's still beautiful, but then it tends to escalate. It tends to crescendo. The volume increases. Okay, and then it's just kind of like there's your climax of the story being told through the music. And then it decrescendos and fades on out. That's your typical thing for music. And it's pretty common, even in all kinds of music. Well, when you think about the noise and pestilence, it too can do the same thing. So when it crescendos, when it escalates, let's say y'all have seen them, those staged events on the world stage. Yeah, those riots or protests is what they want to call them. Okay, and then they had the peaceful protest. Okay, whatever. But if you notice how at certain time, the noise, the shouting and whatnot, it would get louder. That's a form of aggressiveness. When the noise gets louder, you've got a crowd of people, and that noise escalates at a certain time. That's aggressiveness. That noise and pestilence, when it gets louder, it's just another form of aggressiveness. So a narcissist, when they are expressing their aggressiveness, they tend to be louder, right? Yeah. And then think about the pushiness. That's a form of aggressiveness. Narcissists are very, very pushy. Right? That's just another form of them being aggressive. So the answer again is yes. Are all narcissists aggressive to some degree or another? Yep, I added to some degree or another because it does vary. But because you have different levels of that as well. But yes, being pushy is a form of aggressiveness. Because that pushiness often leads to intimidation. So that takes care of that right there. So, okay. And not all narcissists are psychopaths, but can be pathological. Well, they are pathological liars, so yes. Okay. Being a psychopath and pathological, I understand that pathological, psychopath, okay, but it could be it's two different things. Okay, pathological meaning just overly so, and pathological meaning pathological liar meaning they lie all the time. That's what that means. They do it all the time. Okay, in its simplicity, y'all, that's what pathological means. Is that they do it all the time. They're pathological liars. They lie all the time. And then not all narcissists are psychopaths. That's true, because you have sociopaths, and then you have the regular run-of-the-mill. So for those who haven't heard it yet, or learned the fact that there is a demonic spiritual hierarchy, if you will, okay, ladder, the demonic ladder. They start out as a regular run-of-the-mill narcissist. If they succeed with whatever it is they're carrying out for the devil, whatever assignment they have being carried out by the devil, if they succeed with that, then they'll get bumped up to a sociopath for a time. I don't know how long or how many assignments they have to complete or succeed with according to what the devil thinks is success, okay? Then they get bumped up to psychopath status. Now, here's the thing. In each role, though, okay, at each level, if they fail, they get demoted. So they can get demoted back to a regular run-of-the-mill narc multiple times before they finally succeed as a sociopath to make it to psychopath. So not all narcissists will make it to psychopath status because they get demoted. If they can't pass the devil's test at the sociopathic level, they'll never make it to psychopathic level. Okay, they're always going to get demoted, and then if they make it back to sociopathic, but then they get demoted again. Yes. Well, let's say they do, like the Jezebel case study, she made it to psychopath status. Tried to take yours truly out, if you will. And as you can see, she failed. Because we are back to weight training. Ooh. Okay? Back to business as usual. And, yeah, we chosen ones, we don't give up and give in. But because of that, she got demoted to sociopathic status. And I know because of her age, that's it. She's done. She's not going to make it past sociopathic status ever again. Because she has lost the amount of physical strength that she would need to earn back her psychopath stripes, if you will. She's not going to get them back. She's too old. And she's too physically weak. And so thank you, Javon. Yes, endurance training. That's what it's all about. Endurance training is just strength training. And the size, I need y'all to understand something too. For those of you who are on the strength training, endurance training journey with us, do not fret about the size of your muscle. That ain't got nothing to do with strength. No, it has nothing to do with strength. I saw there was a lady on TikTok, and she is in her, she's in her 60s, early to 60, I think is what she said at the time, and she does her own endurance training, and she's thin and trim, but you can see her tone, her shape. You can see that she got some endurance training, but she's very slim and tall. But I guarantee you, she could still lift a 28 pack of water with no problem. A lot of people are attacking her for that. They're telling her that she's too skinny and not healthy. Yeah, those are narcissists who are doing that, y'all. See, the Matrix wants people who are slim. That's called lean build, which is what we're about too, okay? It's just we got to go through the different shapes before we get our lean, okay, that we're after. We've got a goal. And it takes a while because your muscle, for those of you who are in endurance training, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you who are just learning, there's a thing called, what my mentor calls it, is progressive overload. So you got to let your muscles be worn just enough to rebuild themselves back up. But I hear you, Javon. We've heard that lean and mean, right? But not mean though. But I know what you're talking about. But she looks fantastic. And I said, no, I said, them haters can just, forget about them. I did. I put it in the comments. I told her, I said, I'll bet you can pick up a 28 pack of water still. And they probably can't. Those haters probably can't do it. They probably got to get some help. So anyway, that being said, don't underestimate, okay, y'all? The size of the muscle is not what we're after. The size of the muscle don't matter. The size of the muscle has nothing to do with strength. No. Size, no. Okay? It does not. How strong a person is muscle-wise has nothing to do with size. So please, if you were conditioned to believe that, forget about it. Okay? Forget that. That's a big lie. Okay, strength, a lot of strength can come in a very small package. Just like I tell y'all, the smallest detail can tell the biggest story. Same concept. So I want y'all to keep that in mind. Don't underestimate the small people who are lean and fit. Even if they don't have any muscle tone, don't underestimate them. Because you'll be surprised. Okay, you'll be surprised. Don't underestimate them. And so that noise and pestilence, okay, it's loud. And so Javon was conditioned to believe that size equated strength. Okay, good. I'm glad that we can set the record straight for you. Okay, I'm glad that we were able to set the record straight for you, so you can purge that from your subconscious. And don't go around thinking that, right, don't be thinking that just because you see a man or a woman over there and they've got these little muscles, that you see the tone, and in your mind you're thinking, well, that can't possibly have, oh, they're stronger than you think. I guarantee it. Okay, right, a regular dude lifting bags of sand versus bodybuilders trying to lift the same bags, and the bodybuilders struggle where the regular dudes could quite easily lift the bag. There you go. Okay, see, that's the thing. And you gotta, I mean, it really, yeah. I mean, you might think to yourself that when I pick up both of my 10-pounders and I do what I call the upside down curls, right? Okay, guess what? It only takes me about 10 and we're like, okay, we good. 10 of those and we're good. All right, because that's 20 pounds with both of them. Okay, so you have to keep in mind that. And so sandbag, they just like weights. I mean, yeah, it depends. And a lot of bodybuilders, y'all got to remember something. A lot of bodybuilders are in it for like competition and shows. Exactly. They're just there to show off the muscle, and they're there for presentation or what have you. I would tell you, it doesn't mean that the bodybuilder is stronger than us. It does not mean that. It just means they built that muscle, and that they're using it to model, basically. Not all bodybuilders actually have the strength to go with the muscles. Notice how I said not all. There are some who do, because they're in it for the whole shebang. But then you have some bodybuilders who are in it just for the show and the modeling and the attention that they'll get. Okay? Right, all about the appearances. Not all of them, though. There's some of them who are serious about the strength training as well. Yes, my mentor from TikTok, my strength trainer from TikTok, my mentor, she throws around about 40 pounds in kettlebell. I know, right? That's fantastic. Haven't gotten there yet. Right. That's a good, right, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, there you go. A great example of that indeed. Okay, so I'm glad that okay, so when we were talking about the demonic ladder, it said, can they work their way back up, or is it down? Well, we covered a good bit of that. That if a narcissist makes it all the way to psychopath status and they fail to take out the chosen one, they will get demoted. And depending on their age, okay? Because the one thing we come to realize about the narcissist is they give up and give in. And because they are demonically possessed, they don't have control of themselves. They don't have control of their emotion. They don't have locus of control of their own muscle. They lose that over time. So they become physically weak. So when they fail to take a chosen one out as they age, and they get demoted to sociopathic status, that's it. They're not going to go back to psychopath status. Now, if they're younger and they do succeed, even if the assignment was not to take out a chosen one, but maybe another narcissist, then you got to think about that too, y'all. It's a spiritual battle for the mind. And so narcissists, they're assigned to take out, to steal, kill, and destroy whomever and whatever they can. Okay? And that includes each other. So if they've got this assignment to go and take out another narcissist at sociopathic status, and they're young enough, they might make it to psychopath. Okay. But as they age and they fail to they fail their assignment and they lose their physical strength, that's it. Because it takes to do the sociopathic thing that they do, like tamper with food and drink, it takes some physical strength for that. Not a whole lot, but a decent amount, because you have to stay on top of the game, right? Yeah, like the ex-psycho roommate. Yeah, he lost his psychopath status also. He may have lost his sociopathic status by now if he's still around. So, at the time of this recording, and I don't know and I don't care. That's the other thing. Even with the Jezebel case study, I mean, yeah, she tried to stalk in the physical. I didn't know it was her at first, but wow, yeah, seriously, sociopathic status. Yeah, she lost her psychopath stripes because she don't have the physical strength it takes to carry out the assignment to keep those stripes anymore. That's what happens to them as they age. And so they perish like God tells us they will. Oh yeah. So that's that. But even as they age, they're still going to be noisy. They're still going to make all kinds of noises. I mean, how many of y'all, listen, how many of y'all heard them. Even as elderly narcissists, right? They do all that grunting and moaning. That's noise. Oh, yeah. You better believe it. They'll grunt. They'll groan. They'll moan as they complain. Right? They'll walk by and force themselves to cough, trying to plant a subliminal message. Oh, y'all, seriously, it gets easier and easier to see and to hear when they are forcing themselves to do stuff, because they really don't have the energy. They don't really, at their age, they lose all of that. They lose all of that. And it's just the way it is, because they don't have control of their own mind, so they don't have control of themselves. And so where did God tell us about all of that? He said, well, yeah, we don't need to be afraid, okay? He tells us, because in Psalm 91, verse 5, thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness. Meaning all that noise and pestilence walks in darkness. Even if and you got to think spiritual, focus on the spiritual, not the physical here. It's broad daylight out there, but it's a dark demonic realm outside. That matrix is a dark demonic realm. So, yeah, don't be afraid of any of that. Nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness. The pestilence, the narcissist, the noise and pestilence. Not a coincidence. Nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. You see why I said focus on the spiritual, because noonday should be nice and sunny and bright. Okay, you would think. But he's talking about, no, walketh in darkness. So what does that mean? Those who are walking in darkness. Those who are walking around the narcissist with spiritual wickedness in high places. The darkness, the evil. And he tells us, we're redeeming the time because the days are evil. The days are evil. It can be broad daylight, sun shining out and everything like that, but it's still a dark doom and gloom matrix out there. So I had to get that in here because it ties right into do not fret about that noise. And so we learn that we overcome those triggers. Now, for those of you who are in circumstances or in your environment and it's really noisy because you happen to live close to one of those hospitals, okay? Yeah, the symbol of death. And I know we talked about earplugs, so I know you've got that. And so if you are still a little jumpy at loud noises, that tells me that not necessarily that you have too much salt still hanging out in your body, but that your ANS has yet to learn how to expect the unexpected. That's how you overcome that. Once you've detoxed and your body does not have excess salt hanging around, okay, then you want to think about, okay, that means your autonomic nervous system, your ANS, has not learned yet how to expect the unexpected. And you want to, well, you can start training it to do that by being intentional with your own thoughts about it. Remember how we talked about when your ANS can make the connection to where the sound is coming from, whether it's outside or inside, that's how it learns to expect the unexpected. So I had to go through a season. Remember, my ANS got re-traumatized a little bit, okay, with the physical attack. So I said, okay, well, my ANS, we good now, all right? But there was a season where whenever there was an unexpected noise that occurred outside, my ANS, I felt it when it jumped. So I would go and say, hold on a minute. And if it came from outside, most of the time it did. So I had to teach my ANS that there's this little grate. You know, it's a storm drain, rain drain, whatever, in the asphalt. And every time a car would go over, it would give off this loud bang, bang. Okay, well, exactly. So what I did is I had to catch a car going over that so that my ANS could make the connection. Oh, and so after that, once the ANS can make that connection coming from outside, and it automatically knows what that sound is, your ANS is that in tune with your senses, and it will know what that sound is, even if it sounds similar to another type of sound, like the plastic bottle popping. Even if it sounds similar to that, your ANS can tell the difference. Oh yeah, the devil knows that too. So you want to just, that's your assignment right there, to help your ANS learn how to expect the unexpected. Now, it will do a lot of that on its own, but if it's becoming challenging with just loud noises that make you still jump, that's your ANS responding. And so you want to help it make the correct interpretation and connection, associations, if you will, so that it will realize, because the reason your ANS jumps is because, remember, your ANS is your threat detector. Your autonomic nervous system is your threat detector. So noises like that, the loud noises still making you jump a little bit, that means your ANS has yet to learn how to expect the unexpected and is unsure where the sound came from and what the sound is. If your ANS does not jump at the sound of the siren, there you go. Exactly. You get my point? Okay. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh gosh, wow. Okay, well, if she coughs loud when the neighbors are outside, okay, that's also an attention-seeking tactic. Forcing themselves to cough louder than and to cough even for no reason. That's an attention-seeking tactic. But it also to try and plant a seed in their subconscious mind. And yes, some animal noises can be a little creepy. I agree with you on that. But you get used to it, okay? You get used to it. And so, yeah, and that's it right there. They're noisy regardless of what the weather's doing. Absolutely. Noisy regardless. Because they don't care. They're miserable. Narcissists are always miserable. And they right, if they don't. Okay, maybe not feeling as secure or comfortable. Okay, well, you don't want to get too comfortable. And so you feel like you're sleeping with one eye open. Okay, well, if you've got a lock where you can lock the door and you can lock the windows, that's enough, because remember, I'm going to give you something. I'm going to give you something. Hold on a second. You get the feeling that the devil is timing the loud noises to intimidate. Well, remember, he can't attack all chosen ones at the same time. But if he sees that one of his tactics is working on you, it's not so much that he times it. It's just that he keeps using it because it keeps working. Yeah. So I want you to remember, if you've got locks on windows and doors, okay, I want you to write this down, because safety, Jesus, okay? There, okay, so, I don't remember exactly now. Safety is in the Lord. So I'm going to find it. Here we go. Yep. All right, there you go. Yeah, Proverbs, y'all. Because I put this out on this YouTube channel. I put this verse up in the community tab not too long ago. I gave y'all a meme. Proverbs 21 verse 31. It says, the horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord. That means that safety is in Jesus. So when you are a new creature in Christ, you are safe resting in Christ. You are safe. You should be safe and secure because all of that security and safety is of the Lord. So you're resting in Christ, which means you are safe and secure in the Lord. So remember that. Write it down. Proverbs 21 verse 31. And meditate on that. Okay, meditate on that because it's very important to understand that, because you don't want to constantly feel like that. That can hinder your progress as well in some ways, okay, which is what the devil would want. If you feel like you have to sleep with one eye open, okay, so your ANS is responding to your feeling like that. Right, remember, the ANS responds to us too. Every once in a while, y'all. That's nothing new. I remember when we used to do car videos all the time before I moved from North Carolina. Every once in a while, the devil would try to put a little tickle there in my throat. You're very welcome. Proverbs 21:31. Yes, and Jesus is king. You got that right. So, okay, so it still jumps a little at a little. Okay, that's progress. Okay, because it's just, okay, I got you. Your ANS is not used to, okay, because they just because they start suddenly out of nowhere when they get ready to leave. Okay, I got you. Okay. Whereas it's different if you are driving down the road or walking down the road and you can hear it from a distance, so you can kind of hear it coming. It's not suddenly. Your ANS, okay, yes, so your ANS needs to, you're at a season where the ANS has yet to learn to expect the unexpected. And, however long that takes, it's going to depend, obviously, on the environment. So, for, like, hotel living, if you will, our ANS has already gotten used to that. Expect the unexpected. Noises outside, most of the time that's where it's coming from, or coming from the room next door as they're opening and closing cabinets. I can hear it. So we know what that is. The ANS is very familiar with all of that. And then the helicopters and airplanes and things. And so the ANS is also used to expecting the unexpected while we're on our walks and stuff, because you never know when an ambulance is going to go by or law enforcement is going to sound a siren. But when you live, and it takes a little bit of time, but because of where you're at, where you're located, I see how that can play a role. Okay, I get it. Because it just starts suddenly and it's unexpected. So it's like you're relaxed and calm, your ANS is relaxed and calm, then all of a sudden, boom. Okay, so there could be a little bit too much salt at play still somewhere in the body, there too. So, it's just going to take time. And then also changing your thinking about them. I know, it's demonic, it's part of the demonic realm, but I want you to journal it, because there's got to be a thought that you might not be aware of. Remember, our subconscious mind, the ANS, it operates subconsciously. Our thoughts control our ANS, so we're not always aware of what we're thinking in our subconscious. This is why we have to be intentional when we purge the subconscious. So this is going to be for y'all who are still having a little bit of a challenge with your ANS expecting the unexpected when it comes to loud noises, Okay, that noise and pestilence, because we just learned in Psalm 91 that God tells us don't be afraid of it. So your ANS needs to learn how to expect the unexpected. Because, well, and maybe you do too. So remember, your inner child and you, right, I mean, even though your ANS is part of your biological body, it's still your inner child. So you have to, yeah, now you're the parent. So you got to figure out what is it going through your mind. Whenever, if believe it or not, you may not know, but then again, you might. Okay, you might be saying something like, "Jish." That's simple right there, something like that. And that's what's triggering the ANS to respond that way too. And it's simultaneous. As soon as you think it, you jump, right? So you got to journal it. You got to figure out what it is that you're thinking, what goes through your mind, what thought goes through your mind at that very moment as your ANS is jumping. Okay? You need to figure out what that is, because you got to change that thought. That's it right there. You got to change that thought. Uh-huh. Yeah, I know you're like, oh. Because now you're getting ready to find out exactly what I've been teaching all this time about how your thoughts control your ANS. And you're going to get a real example for yourself. You're going to get a real solid understanding of that. Because when you realize, if you've been thinking something like, "Jish," that'll do it. That'll do it. You got to change that thought. Change that thinking. Change that thinking. Change your life. That's it. That's it. Bottom line. Change that thinking. So whatever that thought is going through your mind, the moment that a siren or a loud noise from outside occurs and your ANS jumps, you need to stop. What did you just think of? What just went through your mind? A curse word? Ooh, they definitely got to change that. But yeah, okay. Yep. But I can tell you that "jish" would be a very common one. And that in and of itself will trigger the ANS to jump. Oh yeah. So there you go. There's your homework. Not yet in harmony. Well, there you go. Hey, that's a great way to put it. You know, if your inner child is still, yeah. Okay, and then, okay, it is. There you go. I want you to write that down and find a positive word to replace it. Whatever works for you. Whatever works for you. Okay, a positive. Okay, and because well, that's the thing. It's supposed to try and annoy you. So you got to overcome that trigger. So whatever positive word you can replace right, okay, there you go. Homework noted. Got it. All right, you got to come up with a positive word to replace "jish" with. Okay, and learn not to allow yourself to get annoyed. It's like I said. I mean, I've done it. I mean, I tell my ANS relax, and the more you tell your ANS to relax, the more it gets used to it, because that word relax. Or if I say relax, it's just the bottle popping. Oh, relax, it's coming from outside. Oh, relax, it's not a threat. Because your ANS, and that's why, because your ANS is thinking that it's a threat when it's not. Because your ANS is your threat detector. So if you think "jish" like that, your ANS goes, "Uh-oh, threat." There's your connection. Your thought controlled the ANS. All right, so it's an overwrite programming time. There you go. That's a good way to put it. It's like you just got, it's a big part of the renewing of the mind. Overcoming trauma triggers by renewing the mind, reprogramming that subconscious mind to purge that stuff out of there. But you got to know what it is. Okay, because sometimes it's external, and that's playing a role. Okay, but then we have to think about what are we thinking? that's triggering the ANS, because we play a role in that too. You see, we just don't know that at first. Then we start to realize, once we become aware of our ANS and that inner child is still responding to this in a negative way, we gotta change that. We gotta change that. Absolutely. And it's totally 100% doable. So there you go, everybody. Yeah, this truth seeker about the noise and pestilence, because they are very loud, and they make all kinds of weird noises too. And don't forget, okay, the underlying fundamental reason behind narcissism and the noise, and a lot of it's to get attention and to distract and to annoy you, irritate you, and manipulate your autonomic nervous system. That's the big part right there. Okay, everybody. So let me see if I've got any other. Okay, yeah, any other one there? All right, I got you. Okay. So there you go, everybody. Well, and you can look at it that way. The noise thing is it is kind of like an assault. It's an assault on your ANS. Your inner child doesn't like that. Your inner child does not like that. And so you want to help it make the positive association, a positive connection. And you do that by changing your thoughts to a positive thought. So it doesn't go, uh-oh, threat. When it's not a threat, but the sound itself sounds very threatening. I know. So you have to keep that in mind as well. All right, everybody. So there you go. Don't hesitate to reach out. CHA's fundraiser for our movement, Combating Radio Frequencies for Healthier Living, is ongoing. And yes, Chosen One, we prefer peace and quiet. Absolutely. The devil knows that. Remember that. The devil knows that too. And that's another big reason why he does all that with the noises out there and stuff. And so, and don't forget that whenever we talk about certain things like this, we're just pointing out the truths. We're calling things as they are. It doesn't mean necessarily that noises bother us anymore, because they don't. We get around that resistance. Eventually you do. You may have certain triggers that you're still working on. And so you're very welcome. And so I just want to let everybody know that the CHA's fundraiser is still ongoing. And you can help support our movement. And anytime you sow a seed into this ministry, I declare and decree that it be returned to you 100-fold, because Jesus said, those who forsake all in his name will receive 100-fold. Trust and believe. All right? Trust and believe in Jesus' name. All right, everybody? So I appreciate it. And you can, yes, you can help by sending your funds to paypal.me/CHABTBW. And then we also have the Venmo down below. Yes, our Venmo for those who are using Venmo. I do know that Venmo is a branch of PayPal. That much I know. And so we are also accepting, service grants, funding, okay, for the movement. Yes, that through the fundraiser. We're accepting it on Venmo as well. And so you can find this ministry on Venmo. You'll find Michelle Dickey on Venmo at CHABTBW. And PayPal and Venmo links are in the video description below. As well as other links to check out. Patreon membership channel. We got more cooking demos coming for y'all on the Patreon channel as well. Yes, back to business as usual. Weekly content going up on Telegram. Stay tuned. All right, and Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Quora. We just put another Devil and Narcissism space post up on Quora. Okay, yep. That would be, at the time of this video, that would be yesterday evening. So we are full circle, baby. That Motivational Monday message I did not too long ago when I said it's epic comeback season for Chosen Ones, you're witnessing it right now. You are witnessing epic comeback season in action right now for God's Chosen One. Glory be to God. All right. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your continued support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father. And you keep being you in Jesus' name. Amen.